welcome into the Culture Class podcast, episode number 8. Today's episode is going to be all about the 5 things the media isn't telling us about. So this Instagram page called Whitby, right? They posted an Instagram page post about things that the media is not telling you about. So on the screen right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. But if you're watching on Spotify, it'll be on our highlights. But the first one we're going to talk about is the Yemen famine. And the crisis that's happening over there. So if anybody that doesn't know, the Yemen famine is a byproduct of the Yemen civil war, which has been going on for about 4 or 5 years now, so 2016?
2015.
2016. And it's an example of proxy warfare in the Middle East. And the byproduct of that has been the Yemen famine, and it's killed 87,000 children. And a lot of kids are malnourished there. So one of the stats is, there's 29 million people in Yemen, and 24 million of those depend on humanitarian aid, which is absolutely mental. And if you want to donate, we'll put that in the link in the description. The famine is just sweeping across Yemen. So we're going to talk about that because the media's not telling us about it. So Keith, do you want to give your opinion on what's happening?
You might as well start from the start, innit? From what happened. So obviously they were a Sunni-led government.
Yeah.
And then obviously the capital Safa. Sana'a.
Yeah.
And then there was a group of Shias which were a military group. They had military they had military dominance.
Yeah.
They were called the Houthis.
Yeah. And
these Houthis, when they saw vulnerability in the government, they decided to take over Sana'a.
Yeah.
Which was the capital. That obviously led to warfare. That led to like a coalition with Iran. And that's what Saudi Arabia feared, because Saudi Arabia are their direct landlocked country.
So obviously
Saudi Arabia are a big thing of this.
So basically, the proxy war is like an example of Cold War. So Saudi Arabia and Iran are like the two big players in Middle East. Yeah. So they're never going to fight each other. So like Russia and USA, they never fought each other, but they take opposite sides to basically fight each other. And this is an example of it. So the big thing in the Middle East is obviously the Muslim world. It's like the heart of the Muslim world. And Iran is famously Shia, run by Shias, and they'll back the Shia side. So in this instance, it's the Houthis, the rebels who are trying to take over.
Well, they've taken over. But once you get Sana'a, you basically got the military dominance to take over all of Yemen. So that's the main part. So when Saudis got the fear of Iran exploiting, other resources, and people forget, like,
making Yemen a Shia state.
Oil, gold, and this and that, they're also a big problem in this. And it's always been a problem. So then Saudi Arabia have that fear. And before anything's done, Saudi Arabia, out of fear, they start bombing Sana'a. Yeah. They start bombing schools and this and that. And you're thinking, as a country who's a Sunni country, and you want state, surely you should protect the Sunni people there, or the Shia. It shouldn't ever be. They're all Muslims at the end of the day. It shouldn't be anything to do with Sunni or Shia. And there's always going to be that divide. And it's like, that's what started it. And because they've been so deprived, and since 2015 we've not even spoke about it.
Yeah.
But we always knew, like, countries like US and the UK, they're selling weapons to Saudi.
Yeah.
And they're the weapons that are being used to hit Yemen.
So some of the bombs, there was a blockade on imports. Yeah. So 90% of imports for Yemen are 9% of food is imported, and Saudi put a blockade on that, which actually had to be reverted by their ally in the USA. Like Donald Trump literally had to say, this is a war crime if you don't let food or water into this area. So they stopped that. And and part of the bombs have been found to be British-based bombs. So throughout this war, Britain and America have sold billions of dollars worth of bombs to Saudi Arabia.
They're capitalizing through the resources that are going to be left behind, and that's why people are saying it's going extinct.
Yeah,
because the resources are just going to be the ones that are left. The people are dying over, I think, over 15 million. I think they've got a population of 24 million or something.
It's 29 million people.
29 billion people. And majority, I think 70% of them are in this famine as well.
And 24 million depend on humanitarian aid, which is absolutely disgraceful.
That's
really
crazy. Humanitarian aid. And I think the worst part why people are saying, why isn't the media talking about it, is because why would 5 years of warfare, civil warfare, and then bombs sold by the UK and the US, and why would it take 5 years for it to even get any coverage? Do you know what I mean? They're going extinct, and it's at this stage where it needs to get that media coverage.
To be fair, it needs mass media attention, because the only way that this famine is going to stop, basically, the people who are affected by this famine is because they're affected because their food come from imports, and that imports have been stopped from coming, so they can't get food. And because Yemen is one of the driest places in the world, it's very hard for them to get
they've
water,
been suffering from the
which
floods as well,
which is causing malnutrition. And obviously malnutrition like leads to people not being able to fight off diseases when they come to them. So so the only way that we're going to get through this is if the Saudi-led coalition and the Houthis and all the other like sects, the Shia sects, they come together and they what do you call it? They come together and come to an agreement. No, because that's the only way it's going to stop. Because I feel like even still during these agreements, Saudi Arabia are still bombing Yemen, which is affecting the Yemeni population.
This is bigger than like a UN agreement or anything like that. This is like
I think that's the way it's going to stop.
It'll stop, right? Maybe the bombings will stop and this and that. But you forget they've been deprived of so much.
Yeah.
After all of this is done, who's going to be the ones helping? Because there's no media coverage on this.
Yeah.
Like you forget they got struck by floods.
Yeah.
This led to the highest cholera outbreak ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Cholera's not like it's already existing disease, which like it's like these kind of things shouldn't even be here. It shouldn't even be a problem. But they've got the biggest cholera outbreak.
Yeah.
Which has led to like so many deaths.
Yeah.
And now they've got the COVID-19 problem.
Yeah.
I saw this video.
That could wipe out the population.
Bro, I saw this video, right? It was about Vice done this video about how they're trying to help the COVID problem.
Yeah.
And it was this one doctor between the borders that was measuring everyone with a temperature gun.
Yeah.
One doctor with one gun.
Yeah.
They ran out of batteries for that gun.
Yeah.
Everyone just went through.
Yeah.
You don't know how many people had COVID-19.
Yeah.
And it's not just one problem that they need to solve. They need. Like the likelihood of this, people think, oh yeah, they probably won't get extinct if we help them. It's not just about help. It's about like you need to like ritually change the country again. People forget Yemen's actually a beautiful country. It's not all like this, but it's like the places that
because all these Middle Eastern countries, obviously they've got like a facade of being oil rich and having created like man-made skyscrapers and all that sort of stuff, but like you're saying, Yemen is a beautiful place. You got Jordan there, like the whole of the Middle East is like such a great place to be. Obviously, you got Mecca, Medina, and all that sort of stuff. So, what do you think about Saudi? Saudi's been called the most corrupt and the worst country in the world. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I'm gonna because of what they stand for, and I don't think they're the most corrupt. I'm not going to say that, but I feel like how explicit they are with the corruption is so obvious nowadays. Because
the way they try and get into football and things like that.
Like little things. But I'd say like the UK aren't innocent, US aren't innocent. None of these countries are innocent in this. Yeah. But it's like for a Saudi-led bombing to be happening in a partner country. That's crazy.
But the thing, obviously, I go back to the point, it's proxy warfare. And the only reason they're doing this, the only reason they take sides in these sort of issues is so that their own people don't look for a revolution. So obviously in 2011, you had the Arab Spring, where in Northern Africa, like in places like Libya, I can't remember what the other place were, but like big autocratic government to be taken over, like Colonel Gaddafi, he had to flee and things like that. Still happening in Syria.
Well, that's what
ISIS take over. So Saudi don't want that to happen to they want to keep their monarchy. That's why they're doing this sort of stuff. And it's like they've got the one thing that drives people is the things that drive people are money, power, and sex. Obviously, you get rid of sex because it's like a country, but power and money, they have so much power over that state, over that part of the world, that it's just arrogance that they want to. No, it is arrogance. It's arrogance that they think that they must bomb and kill all these people.
It's agendas.
So that their own people don't revolt.
It's fixed agendas, right?
And another thing that makes them arrogant is the fact that they think they're unpenetrable because they have oil, which obviously trade partners love because that means money, and also they have Mecca, Medina, the like holy places for Muslims. So they think that they're untouchable.
They are untouchable.
But I would say they're the worst country in the world.
No, but as agendas go, the agendas are very mixed up, right? So if the UN the UN questioned them about this. UN are bullshit, right?
Yeah.
They're
not forceful enough.
No, it's not about forceful.
No, it is.
No. It's not about forceful. They're allowing this. It's not about force. Yeah. They're allowing this. Their agenda will be, basically in Yemen, there's another problem where, which is being caused is because Al Qaeda affiliates.
Yeah.
They feel like they need like enter the war to like it's kind of like enforce their rule in Yemen. So that's caused another like problem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, Saudi Arabia would say, yeah, we're bombing this because our agenda is to remove these Al Qaeda affiliates.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what I say. The mixed agendas come into a problem where the UN just let it happen.
Yeah.
It's been happening for 5 years.
Yeah.
This isn't a new thing. Do you know what I mean? This has been happening for too long, and it's only now that we're seeing the the problems. Like I've got friends that are from Yemen.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're from there. It's not like they're
this is happening to their people.
Yeah, their people. It's not like a complete different country that we're never gonna see.
Yeah.
Bro, if Yemen goes extinct, where's my friend gonna go back to?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
That is 2020. Like in our first podcast, we talked about the Bengal famine, and 4 million people died in that famine. And now, and I from then, that's where I was like fuck, like Churchill's a bad person because how can you kill like an entire generation of Bengali people? And now the numbers aren't as high. Like 87,000 people have died. That's not as high as 4 million, but it's still like unacceptable.
No, but
and the amount of people who are like, there's 8.5 million people who are pre-famine in Yemen, which is like nearly like a quarter of their population. You're saying a quarter of their population can't get food. Like the things that we take for granted are food, water, and shelter. Like right now, you got water in your hand, you got shelter above your head, and you got food on the table. Like we take that for granted, but these people literally they would die to be an opposition.
There's this thing, right? It's resource depletion, right?
Yeah.
They've got nothing. Even after I said it, I'll say it again. After all of this is done, think about there's 15. This is before the coronavirus outbreak. There was 12 million people that were out of school. 12 million kids that are out of school.
Yeah.
When this in 10 years' time, they are going to be like one of the most uneducated. Like they're not going to have the resources to facilitate medicine.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
Especially when Saudi are bombing schools.
This is long
schools,
term.
Which are like training centers and hospitals, which are trying to save people's lives. Like what I find crazy as well is I was watching this one video in research for this podcast. And there was one guy who had like this kid who was literally 4 kg, and he was 2 years old. A kid is 4 kg at 2 years old, right? And in Yemen, you get treatment for free, but you have to pay for your own medicine. Yeah. And he didn't have enough to pay for his medicine. Alhamdulillah, the reporters paid for it, but that's one case, and that's happening to thousands and thousands of families in Yemen every single day. And it's not being reported by the news, but bloody like other stuff is. And it's like, is the media doing their job?
And that's what we say. Like that's why we're doing this. Yeah,
what do you think, Sakif, from your point of view? What can somebody watching this video do to help?
Well, literally raise the awareness that like the media can't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The media won't.
Yeah.
It's not about them can't. They won't raise that awareness. How think about how many people there are in this country, right? You even 67 million people in this country.
Yeah.
A person's gives a penny.
Yeah.
Right, a penny.
Yeah.
Imagine the difference they can make.
Yeah.
Even to a full region.
Yeah.
Right, because these people, these Yemenis, they don't need a lot of money.
Yeah.
All they need is resources, and even 100 grand. If everyone in the country raised 100 grand, imagine how much that would do for them.
Yeah.
You get me?
Obviously.
And it's not just about money. It's about also awareness on what the UK is doing. Accountability for countries like us that we're part of. We're allowing this to happen. We knew 5 years ago. We're providing weapons for Saudi Arabia. We knew that. This is a big news 5 years ago. But we didn't look into.
You say it's big news, but I don't think media want to tell you about it.
No, they don't want
to tell you about it because it's not part of their agenda.
We knew about that. But the thing that we didn't know is what they're using it for.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest part. Forget what they're doing.
Yeah.
Forget you need to look at what we need to do now.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? This is always going to happen. They are going extinct. It's not like there's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
There's 4 different ways they're going extinct, and that's the craziest part.
Yeah. It's just the amount of the population that's affected that proves how big of a problem it is. It's not just like we're going to go on and talk about the Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. Yeah. It's not like there where it's just one region. Obviously, stuff like it's such a bad thing that's happening, but this is happening over the whole country. Like here, literally, I've got a statement on my laptop. It says 80% of Yemen's population are in need of humanitarian aid and protection, and the Saudis had to be told that they can't stop imports coming in. So that means humanitarian aid. So obviously, if you're watching this, donate as much as you can. But Saudis are stopping that humanitarian aid getting to the people that need it. There was in the video, it was 470 tons of flour, which obviously is made to use bread, which is a staple food. it was going past their sell-by date because they weren't allowed to be shipped away. And there's not enough fuel, so they can't deliver it.
Yeah.
And that's there's not enough fuel, so you can't deliver it. And it's crazy how this stuff is happening in the real world, really. Like when I was learning about it, like this time yesterday, I knew nothing about it. When I was learning about it, it was actually crazy. So if you can educate yourself as much as you can on this. But Sakif, do you want to take it away on about the Uyghur Muslims?
So with the Uyghur Muslims, what we found out is, like, what we know is that in Xinjiang,
Xinjiang,
that the Uyghur Muslims, there was obviously a bunch of terrorists that killed 20 people.
Yeah.
And that made the Chinese government enforce what they call a rehabilitation center, which is more like a concentration camp. And they're obviously lying about it. And the concentration camp, like, surely it should be only for like them 20, but they've obviously ethnically just chose a full population, because it's not just Uyghur Muslims, it's any ethnic minority that they feel it's not like, that follows a Han Chinese kind of principle. So what they've been doing within that is like, females getting raped, Uyghur Muslims denouncing their religion, denouncing anything that they've got. It's literally identity cleansing. Which you can speak about that. As well.
So basically these two topics are different, but they're still really, really bad. So one's about like basically people dying, and the other one is exploiting and get rid of an identity out of like a whole generation of people. So obviously in China they were very like relaxed with people's cultures and people's belief, and then recently now they're using these voluntary training centers as an excuse to basically infiltrate any of their population's lives. So at any point, a support worker can just drop into your house and talk about what's going on in the house, and then report it back to the authorities. And the authorities can do whatever they want to you in your house. So obviously, like in England, you have your own privacies. You can practice whatever belief, whatever culture you have, eat whatever food you want. But in China, it's so different. So the Muslims, obviously, in Islam, you can't drink or eat pork, and they're forcing you to drink alcohol and eat pork, because pork is a big thing in China anyway. So that's like part of their culture. But they're just basically trying ethnic cleansing.
What about that thing
not
that
by killing, but by literally getting rid of an identity.
That mosque thing that you were talking about.
Oh yeah,
that's probably the worst thing I've heard.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
In the mosques, one thing that they're doing is obviously they're denouncing their religion, so they're making people not be Islamic. But another thing is, in the actual mosque, when you're praying in a mosque, there's no faces. So in Islam, you don't have faces in the house because it stops like the angels coming in. But in the mosque, in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're literally putting pictures of the President Xi Jinping. They forced pictures of him to be like at the top of the minaret. So when you're praying, you pray facing the Qibla, which is like towards Mecca, which is like the holy place in Islam. And you're not supposed to see any faces, but they've literally put a face of the president, of the prime minister of China, right in front and on the floor. So if you're looking down, you're basically praying towards a president, and they're trying to get into the mentality of the president, the government is God, and Allah doesn't exist, essentially.
And I saw this video of a guy who escaped the concentration camps or who's been let out. And he's like, it's actually crazy. Like, he's a changed guy. Like, he's like, it's like as if he's been in solitary confinement for like 50 years. And it's actually weird. Like, he's denounced his religion and everything like that. He's scared. And like, he doesn't even recognize his family anymore. Think about the mental struggle that these people, like, these are the two, like, sufferings always equal in any part of the world whenever trying to compare it. But these are the two biggest sufferings that this world's like, is exploited to, and that is exploitation.
Like the human right to freedom is gone. So for some people, what's the point in living if you can't have that freedom?
But where's the media coverage on this has been so minimal. And it's like, how, like, it's since 2017. Since 2017, they've been using this, and this is so comparable to like the Jewish, like what Hitler done to the Jews. It's so comparable, and it was like. They were trying to literally just eradicate them by killing, but here it's like. But who's trying to make that difference? Like back then, it was like Germany weren't that force that China are today, and it was like the UK and the US could join forces to help these Jews. Do you know what I mean? But really, were they helping the Jews, or were they trying to stop Germany from taking control over Europe? But the thing is, China aren't trying to take control over Asia. They're trying to kill, kill, rape,
they're trying to make everybody Han
Chinese.
Chinese.
Exactly.
They're trying to get rid of an identity.
Create a dominant population.
Yeah. So in 30 years' time, if you're born, the only thing you know is no Islam, like just drinking alcohol, eating pork, being Christian. That's basically what they want every single person in that country to be.
And like that's the biggest part of this. Like, who's going to give them that help? China's such a force. Who's going to provide them with that help? Because the UK would be like, oh well, it's got nothing to do with us. What can we do? The UN aren't doing anything. They're useless. We've just saw what they're doing with Yemen. They're not even giving a shit about that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The media isn't going to show it. Like these like. Even what we know is the minimal.
Yeah.
What we know.
Yeah.
And imagine what's happening behind closed doors.
Because literally the videos that they at the start, I think it was in 2017, there was like rumors of it from journalists, and China's stance was, this isn't happening. There's no concentration camps. But then they relaxed it, and they let some journalists into voluntary training camps. So training centers. So where people who have extremist ideologies can go there and change their mind, essentially. So they went in and did that. So the reporter went in there, and they were singing songs. You're not allowed to pray. Instead of reciting the Quran, you have to sing songs that are like pro-Chinese. So they're basically just trying to create a nationalist identity in China. And for a long time, they were very like lenient towards culture, but now they've just stamped down on that. And it's crazy how political the media is proven by this. So because people don't really like the media's not going to benefit, or the politicians aren't going to benefit from talking about Uyghur Muslims, so they don't do anything about it.
Another problem
but things that don't affect the media and don't affect, like, that aren't in their agenda, they don't care about. It's like this Yemen famine and the Uyghur Muslims. I feel like,
what it is?
Nobody cares about it.
There's a big accountability for us, right, as people of this country, that we hate seeing negativity.
Yeah.
So if we see the Yemen crisis one day, and then we see the this concentration camp another day, or like the Rohingya Muslims the next day, or Black Lives Matter the next day after that, it's like, what was it? Like, people would be like, oh, stop being so morbid. But this is the news that we need to see.
Because even when you told me about this podcast, I was a bit like, I wanted to talk about it, but I wanted to like make sure that it was not like depressing all the time. We were talking about depressing stuff, but this stuff is like, it's really important.
It's like our responsibility to show it. Like,
it's our responsibility, and everybody should educate themselves. The whole point of this podcast is to help you do what you can to help the situation. Obviously, like, people who are watching this don't have much power, but you have to accept what you can do and do the most that you can. So we're going to put links in the description for things you can donate to, and places where you can educate yourself about these situations. But it's mad how little the media talk about it.
And I feel like, with this whole Black Lives Matter movement that's happening right now, and like, we don't need to touch on that. Everyone knows what's happening there.
Yeah.
Like, it's bringing awareness to these topics that, like, if you help Black Lives Matter be solved, which is a problem in this country, surely these other problems about all that will help, like, solve all lives matter. Do you know what I mean? Because all lives don't matter. These Muslims and these Uyghur Muslims don't matter. These Yemen people, they don't matter. So as soon as we start solving problems, then we'll be a better world. And like, we need to stop putting accountability. Like, they should have accountability. But, the UK government, the governments of like other countries, the UN, they're not going to do anything.